Have you ever noticed them? The ghosts in the machine, the silhouettes in a world of blinding color. They walk among us, they laugh with us, they share our space and our air, but they leave no digital footprint. Their lives are lived, not displayed. They are here, but they are not here. A quiet rebellion in a world screaming to be seen. In the endless gallery of faces, theirs is the empty frame. If you are a seeker who often feels unseen in a loud world, you are home. Hit subscribe and join the quiet conversation. The philosopher Alan Watts once said, "Trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth." And perhaps, in that single, playful, impossible image, we find the key. We find the beginning of an answer to a question that whispers in the quiet corners of our hyper-connected world. Why do some people choose the shade when the spotlight is offered to all? What is the psychology, the deep inner landscape, of the person who does not post their picture on social media? This is not an investigation. It is not a judgment. It is an invitation. An invitation to walk past the brightly lit windows of the digital world, to turn down a quiet, unmarked street, and to sit for a while with a different kind of wisdom. It is a journey into the heart of what it means to be, rather than what it means to be seen. We are not here to study them as curiosities. We are here to see if, in their silence, we can hear something true about ourselves. And so, the first layer of the truth begins to peel away. The layer of assumption. We are taught to interpret this absence as a presence of something negative. We call it shyness or insecurity. We diagnose it as a fear of judgment, a lack of confidence, a desire to hide. We see an empty space and we rush to fill it with our own stories of what must be wrong. The world of the screen is a world of evidence. If there is no photographic proof of your happiness, your travels, your existence, were you ever really there? This is the underlying dogma of our time. To be is to be perceived. To be validated is to be real. But what if this absence is not an absence at all? What if it is a different kind of presence? A presence so whole, so self-contained, that it requires no external witness. This is the first territory we must explore, the protection of the sacred inner world. The psychologist Carl Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we present to the world. It is the carefully crafted version of ourselves that we deem acceptable, impressive, or likable. Social media is the ultimate theatre for the persona. It is a masquerade ball where we are all invited to design our own masks. We choose the angle, the filter, the caption. We perform the self we want to be, or the self we believe others want to see. The person who abstains from this theatre is not necessarily without a mask. We all wear them in our daily lives, but they refuse to let the mask become a monument. They refuse to cast it in the bronze of the internet, to build a digital statue of a single curated expression and say, "This is me." They understand on a deep, intuitive level that their true self is not a static object to be photographed. It is a living, breathing, and profoundly private landscape. Imagine your soul is a vast, ancient forest. It has sun-dappled clearings and deep, tangled thickets. It has seasons of vibrant life and seasons of quiet decay. It has hidden streams and creatures that only come out in the moonlight. Now, imagine social media asks you to represent this entire, complex ecosystem with a single, perfect photograph of a single, perfect leaf. You would spend all your time searching for that one leaf, polishing it, lighting it just right, and presenting it to the world. The world would applaud the beautiful leaf. But in the process, the entire forest is ignored. The richness, the mystery, the wholeness, it all goes unseen. The person who doesn't post their photo is not hiding their forest. They are simply refusing to reduce it to a single leaf. They are the silent guardians of their own wilderness. They understand that the most sacred parts of their experience, the true texture of their joy, the specific weight of their sorrow, the quiet hum of their peace, are untranslatable. To photograph a moment of profound connection is to step outside of it, to become an archivist of the experience rather than its inhabitant. They choose to remain inside. They choose to let the experience wash over them, to feel it fully, without the intermediary of a lens or the thought of a future audience. Their life is not for public consumption. It is a private ceremony. And in that quiet reverence for the uncaptured moment, a question turns back towards us. What story does the silence in your own life tell? This is where most of us get it wrong, where the modern mind stumbles. We have been conditioned to believe that the self is a project to be built, a brand to be managed. We accumulate experiences, achievements, and relationships like assets, and our online profile becomes the portfolio. We are the curators of our own museum, and the most prized exhibit is the frozen image of our face smiling back at the world. We are taught to hunt for the perfect picture, the one that finally captures us. But this is the grand illusion, the one Alan Watts so brilliantly dismantled. You are not a thing. You are not a noun. You are a process. You are a verb. You are a constantly flowing, ever-changing river of consciousness. And to try and capture yourself in a photograph is like trying to scoop up the river in a cup and say, "This is the river." It's not. It's a cup of water, already growing stale, already separated from the dynamic, life-giving flow. The person who refrains from posting their picture often embodies this understanding, whether they can articulate it in philosophical terms or not. They are living in the flow. They are not concerned with building a dam of identity. They are not interested in creating a static reservoir of a self that can be easily viewed and understood. They are the river. Think of your life as a piece of music. It is composed of soaring highs and melancholic lows, of frantic rhythms and long resonant pauses. It is a symphony that is being composed and performed in the very same instant. A photograph is a single frozen chord from that symphony. It might be a beautiful chord, a happy chord, a triumphant chord, but it is not the music. To identify with the photograph is to fall in love with that one chord, to forget the entire symphony that gives it meaning. You stop listening to the music of your own becoming because you are too busy staring at the sheet music of a single passed note. The person living outside this framework is not listening for a single chord. They are dancing to the whole song. They feel their own constant unfolding. They know that the person they were yesterday, the person in a photograph taken last year, is a ghost. A beloved ghost perhaps, a learned from ghost, but a ghost nonetheless. To post that photo and say, "This is me," feels like a lie. Not a malicious lie, but a fundamental misunderstanding of their own nature. Their identity is not a fixed point to be plotted on a graph. It is the line being drawn right now, in this very moment. They are more interested in the feeling of the pen moving across the paper than in the shape of the line it left behind. They are free from the peculiar burden of having to be consistent with a past version of themselves, the version that was captured, uploaded, and approved. They are free to contradict themselves, to change their minds, to evolve, to dissolve, and re-emerge. They haven't given the world a fixed target to aim at, and so they are free to move. This isn't an escape from accountability. It is an embrace of fluidity. It is the deep, quiet confidence of the river, which knows that its nature is to flow, not to be held. And as we sit with this idea of the self as a flowing river, not a static pool, we must ask ourselves, are you carrying the weight of a dam that was never yours to build? And here we find the subtle architecture of the modern prison, the one we build for ourselves, pixel by pixel, and call a community. It is the prison of the digital echo. When you post a picture of yourself, you are doing more than sharing a moment. You are casting a reflection into a hall of mirrors. The image goes out, and it returns to you warped and magnified by the perceptions of others. It comes back as likes, as comments, as shares, as DMs. It comes back as validation, as criticism, as envy, as indifference. And slowly, subtly, you begin to mistake this chorus of echoes for your own voice. This is what sociologists call the looking glass self. We build our sense of identity not from who we are, but from how we imagine others see us. Social media has placed this process on steroids. It is a relentless 24/7 focus group on the performance of you. And the pressure is immense. The pressure is to post the next picture, to maintain the narrative, to prove that you are still happy, still successful, still beautiful, still relevant. Your online persona becomes a hungry ghost that you must constantly feed with new images, new updates, new evidence of a life well lived. The one who stands apart from this cycle is not antisocial. They are practicing a radical form of self-possession. They have chosen to source their sense of self from within, not from without. Their self-worth is not a currency that fluctuates with the market of public opinion. It is a quiet, steady anchor dropped deep within their own being. They are not waiting for the echo to tell them who they are. They are listening to the original sound. Now consider the person who doesn't post. Their tree is planted in the deep, rich soil of their own inner world. Its roots go down, down, down into the darkness and silence, into the bedrock of their own values, their own experiences, their own private integrity. This tree may not be as visible to the world. It may not have as many flashy blossoms, but it is nourished from its own depths. It draws its water from a hidden internal spring. It can withstand the fiercest storms and the longest droughts because its source of life is not external. It is sovereign. This is not a statement of arrogance or superiority. It is a statement of freedom. Freedom from the exhausting, endless labor of managing a perception. Freedom from the anxiety of the refresh button. Freedom from the subtle poison of comparing your inner reality to someone else's curated highlight reel. They have reclaimed the immense energy that is spent on performance and turned it inward, using it to cultivate their own garden, to nourish their own tree. They have stepped outside the hall of mirrors and have dared to look at themselves directly, without reflection. This journey inward, away from the digital echo, leads to a profound question for our own lives. Are you listening for your own voice, or for the echo of what you believe others want to hear? Consider the silent architecture of your own attention. It is the most valuable currency you possess. Where you place your attention is where you place your life. Every moment you spend scrolling, curating, and posting is a moment you are not spending somewhere else. And this is not a moral judgment, but a simple mechanical truth. The mind cannot be in two places at once. It cannot be both fully present in an experience and simultaneously framing that experience for a future audience. This is perhaps the most profound, and yet the simplest, psychology of the person who doesn't post their photo. They are radical preservationists of the present moment. They have chosen, consciously or unconsciously, to be participants, not documentarians, of their own lives. When they see a breathtaking sunset, their first instinct is not to reach for a phone. It is to breathe, to watch the colors bleed across the sky, to feel the temperature drop on their skin, to feel the smallness of themselves and the vastness of the universe. They are not thinking, how can I capture this? They are simply letting it capture them. They are not trying to possess the moment, to shrink it down into a 2-inch square and store it in a digital pocket. They are allowing the moment to possess them, to expand within them, to become a part of their cellular memory. This is the essence of what many spiritual traditions, including Zen Buddhism, which so influenced Alan Watts, teach. The goal is to close the gap between the observer and the observed, to be so fully immersed in the act of seeing that the seer disappears, to be so lost in the sound of the music that the listener dissolves. This is the state of flow, of pure presence. The camera, the screen, the thought of the audience, these are all things that reinforce the gap. They solidify the I who is observing, the I who is recording, the I who is separate from the experience. Imagine you are eating a perfectly ripe peach. The juice is dripping down your chin. The flavor is an explosion of summer on your tongue. One person experiences this and their mind immediately goes to, this would make a great post. The lighting is perfect. I could use a caption like savoring the simple things. They are no longer tasting the peach. They are producing a commercial about tasting the peach. The other person simply eats the peach. That's it. The entire universe of their attention is filled with the sensation of it. The experience is total. It is not a means to an end, it is the end in itself. Their memory of it will not be a photograph. It will be the ghost of a taste, a sensory echo that lives inside them. The one who abstains from the digital showcase is not rejecting technology. They are rejecting the commodification of their own life. They refuse to convert their experiences into content. Their life is not a mine for raw materials to be extracted, polished, and sold on the market of social approval. A conversation is a conversation, not an opportunity for a quote. A meal is a meal, not a flat lay. A friendship is a sacred connection, not a co-star in the movie of their life. By holding their attention in the present, by refusing to constantly fragment their awareness between the real and the digital, they achieve a different quality of existence, a deeper, quieter, more textured way of being. They are not collecting moments like butterflies pinned to a board. They are letting the moments fly free, content to have witnessed their beauty for a fleeting second. And this devotion to the uncaptured moment poses a final, piercing question to us all. We have walked a path away from the noise and the light. And here, in the quiet, the threads come together. The psychology of the person who does not post their image is not a psychology of fear, but of reverence. It is not a psychology of absence, but of a deeper presence. It is the reverence for the inner world, too vast and wild to be tamed into an image. It is the embrace of a fluid self, a flowing river that refuses to be dammed by a single, static photograph. It is the freedom from the exhausting performance of the looking-glass self, the quiet confidence of a tree nourished from its own roots. It is the profound peace of being fully present in one's own life, of choosing to live the experience rather than merely record it. It is not a rejection of connection. It is a rejection of a certain kind of connection, a connection that is broad but shallow, immediate but mediated. It is a quiet insistence on a different quality of connection, one that is rooted in shared presence, in unfilmed conversations, in eye contact that isn't broken by a screen. The healing insight, then, is not that we should all delete our accounts and vanish from the digital world. The world is what it is. The insight is the realization that you have a choice. You have a choice about where you anchor your sense of self. You can anchor it in the fluctuating tide of external perception, or you can anchor it in the quiet, unchanging depth within you. The person who doesn't post their photo is simply a reminder. They are a signpost, pointing away from the noisy marketplace and towards the silent temple of the self. They remind us that a life unwitnessed by the masses is not a life unlived. In fact, it may be the most deeply lived life of all. They are a quiet testament to the radical idea that you are enough, right now, as you are, without an audience, without applause, without proof. Your existence is not contingent on its documentation. Your value is not determined by its visibility. You are not broken for wanting to keep some parts of your soul sacred and unseen. You are not strange for wanting to live a life that is felt, not just framed. In a world that shouts, their silence is a poem. And in that poem, we find a profound and gentle permission, the permission to simply be, to let your life be a mystery, even to yourself, to find your worth not in the reflection you cast, but in the light you hold within. You are not a picture to be seen. You are a presence to be felt.